Hello! This is like attempt number 5 to make this video. So, go to apa.org. The case against spanking. Physical discipline is slowly declining as some studies reveal lasting harms for children. This is by Brendan L. Smith, April 2012. A growing body of research has shown that spanking and other forms of physical discipline can pose serious risks to children, but many parents aren't hearing the message. It's a very controversial area, even though the research is extremely telling and very clear and consistent about the negative effects on children, says Sandra Graham Berman, PhD, a psychology professor and principal investigator for the Child Violence and Trauma Laboratory at the University of Michigan. People get frustrated and hit their kids. Maybe they don't see there are other options. Many studies have shown that physical punishment, including spanking, hitting, and other means of causing pain, can lead to increased aggression, antisocial behavior, physical injury, and mental health problems for children. Americans' acceptance of physical punishment has declined since the 1960s, yet surveys show that 2/3 of Americans still approve of parents spanking their children, their kids. I'm not going to do this over again, so I'll attempt to keep reattempting throughout the reading of this article. Thank you for your patience. But spanking doesn't work, says Alan Kasdan, PhD, a Yale University psychology professor and director of the Yale Parenting Center and Child Conduct Clinic. You cannot punish out these behaviors that you do not want, says Kasdan, who served as APA president in 2008. There is no need for corporal punishment based on the research. We are not giving up an effective technique. We are saying this is a horrible thing that does not work. Evidence of harm. On the international front, physical discipline is increasingly being viewed as a violation of children's human rights. The United Nations Committee on the Rights of the Child issued a directive in 2006 called Physical Punishment, Legalized Violence Against Children. That should be eliminated in all settings through legislative, administrative, social, and educational measures. The treaty that established the committee has been supported by 192 countries, with only the United States and Somalia failing to ratify it. What's up, America? Around the world, 30 countries have banned physical punishment of children in all settings, including the home. The legal bans typically have been used as public educational tools rather than attempts to criminalize behavior by parents who spank their children, says Elizabeth Gershoff, PhD, a leading researcher on physical punishment at the University of Texas at Austin. Physical punishment doesn't work to get kids to comply, so parents think they have to keep escalating it. That is why it is so dangerous, she says. After reviewing decades of research, Gershoff wrote the Report on Physical Punishment in the United States. What research tells us about the effects on children, published in 2008 in conjunction with Phoenix Children's Hospital, the report recommends that parents and caregivers make every effort to avoid physical punishment and calls for the banning of physical discipline in all U.S. schools. The report has been endorsed by dozens of organizations, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, American Medical Association, and Psychologists for Social Responsibility. After 3 years of work in the APA Task Force on Physical Punishment of Children, Gershoff and Graham Berman wrote a report in 2008 summarizing the task force's recommendations. That report recommends that parents and caregivers reduce and potentially eliminate their use of any physical punishment as a disciplinarian method. The report calls on psychologists and other professionals to indicate to parents that physical punishment is not an appropriate or even a consistently effective method of discipline. We have the opportunity here to take a strong stand in favor of protecting children, says Gershom Berman, who chaired the task force, APA's Committee on Children, Youth, and Families, and the Board for the Advancement of Psychology in the Public Interest unanimously approved a proposed resolution last year based on the task force recommendations. It states that APA supports parents' use of non-physical methods of disciplining children and opposes the use of severe or injurious physical punishment of any child. APA also should support additional research and a public education campaign on the effectiveness and outcomes associated with corporal punishment and non-physical methods of discipline. The proposed resolution states, after obtaining feedback from other APA boards and committees in the spring 2012, APA's Council of Representatives will consider adopting the resolution as APA policy. Let's just get to the point that there's great information out there if we just look for it. I'm not going to sit here and attempt to read this because I'm going to keep tripping over my own words, and then I'll end up recording this video all over again. And it's pretty decent in length here, so go back and read it yourself. It's apa.org/monitor/2012/04/spanking. I'll leave a link. I guess since I had some cookies, I'm in a little bit of a bitter spirit, but Actually, no, I think it was the chips and cheese. Anyhow, please, parents, do some research on corporal punishment and physical punishment. This is a great article. Covers what actually, it's actually a promising article to me, because from what I'm hearing in the other articles, no one really gives a crap how negative the consequences are for physical discipline. And see, now my voices chime in. Sorry to interrupt this programming. We have an emergency broadcasting, whatever. See, I stand up for my opinions and fact-based, research-based ideas that spanking is detrimental to our children, and I continue to be harassed and terrorized by hallucinations. And as of lately, they have accentuated the subject of spanking. Throughout the day, I listen to people punish their children inappropriately, and it is at times terrifying. Sometimes it is my daughter. Sometimes it's my daughter now, sometimes it's my daughter in the past, and I think it's ridiculous. So, 2 things we should address in the United States. 1, child abuse. Physical punishment is child abuse. It's detrimental. There is no benefit except for immediate compliance, which is really not a benefit at all, not considering the consequences. So, and also, the abuse of mental health services as a means of violating U.S. citizens that are otherwise capable of making their own decisions regarding medication, making their own decisions as regarding whether they can be at home and sleeping at night instead of being medicated against their will in a facility. And yeah, there's a lot of questions in the United States. I, as of prior to this, don't want to be American. But there's not a whole lot I can do about that because I'm held hostage. Not hostage, captive. Hostage would be in exchange for money. They will release me, but that's not the case because nobody would pay for my ass. I hope you enjoyed my video on physical discipline regarding children. Maybe next time we'll come back with physical discipline regarding adults, aka domestic violence, aka, I don't know. I just want to get a lot of word out there into what causes people to face the difficulties I face. And my difficulties to me don't seem that bad as to, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I don't feel like I should be as unable to do some of the things that I'm unable to do. But I come from a completely different background as far as location-wise. It's very different where I grew up than it is here, as far as the pace of things, etc. But yeah, it leads to a lot of the issues I have, and they don't seem like they should be disabling. But when exacerbated with more abuse as an adult or more deprivation of your rights, it pretty much becomes that way. And that's not the way I want it to remain. But hey, for now, I got to take what I get and rescue my child. So thanks for watching. Sorry if I babbled on about nothing. APA.org, monitor 2012-04 spanking. I will put the link down below for YouTube and up above for Facebook. Have a lovely evening. Thank you for watching. And stop spanking your kids, for crying out loud.